Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hello. Nadia is en route. She's just in the loo. She's coming. She's a-coming. How are we all? Lovely seeing all your names flying up. Good Trip Lollipop, Mel B, Julie the singing nutcase. Oh, how are you all? How are you all? How are you all? Monday evening. Look at that. Look at the beautiful lights behind us. Yeah, bringing the outside in. Is it? I don't think it is. It's taking the inside out, isn't it? Putting lights on a tree. It's taking the outside, putting it inside, and then putting it outside. Anyway, if you're listening on podcast, we are going to be talking about some big news stories. But we've also just come out of watching episode 1 of Married at First Sight. Oh my lordy. Has anyone seen episode 1? Hi, Dion. Hi, Tina Davis. Has anyone watched it? Claire LC, have you watched the first episode? Please, no. Oh, Zoe, no Married at First Sight. Well, I'll tell that to Nadia. No Married at First Sight spoilers. Okay. No spoilers on Married at First Sight. Zoe hasn't watched it. Some people haven't watched it. Of course, I keep wanting to call it Bank of Mum and Dad, but it's My Mum, Your Dad. Or is it My Dad, Your Mum?
My Mum, Your Dad.
Is starting tonight, and we are doing a live review afterwards. Yes, R.I.P. Tito Jackson. All the windows are being shut, and I'm really, really hot. But there we go. Kavita, there is a new Married at First Sight UK. You're absolutely right. So we will do no spoilers. Later, you will be getting your fill of My Dad, Your Husband. Is that it? My husband, your father?
My Mum, Your Dad.
My Mum, Your Dad. I can't make it any less bright. You're going to get used to it. You're used to lights, baby.
But we just look so ghastly.
No, we don't. I have to speak for yourself. How are you, Nat?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. We missed you this morning. But yeah, join us later for My Mum, Your Dad. We're going to watch and we're going to review afterwards. But first, let's go on with the news. And my God, what a shocker.
Well, it was a shocker last night, wasn't
it?
I couldn't quite believe it. So who's been following the news regarding the new assassination attempt? Now, to be clear, it doesn't look like any shots were fired, but the muzzle of his gun was popped through the fence of Trump's golf course. And Secret Services managed to shoot at him and prevent him from actually taking a shot. So as I understand it, he didn't take a shot.
But, he was waiting. He was waiting in the bushes.
For 12 hours.
Secret Service are ahead of the whole, each one that he's doing. So they were ahead one, saw the rifle
muzzle
poking out and went for it. Now, God, imagine there was a bystander that saw a man running out and took his number plate.
Well, yeah, but the news has only just landed in the last half hour or hour that he was in there for 12 hours. He was staking out for 12 hours. And the reason that's important is a lot of people are saying that Trump's trip to this golf course was unscheduled. It wasn't to be expected. So there's a lot of chatter, which I think is playing into a little bit of conspiracy theory stuff going on
there's
X.
A surprise. There always has to be conspiracy.
Now, conspiracy theories are going mad everywhere. Truth Social is going nuts. We're going to talk about that.
That's Trump's social media platform.
We're going to talk about that separately, but yeah.
The thing is, Trump is Trump. And as far as I'm concerned, my own personal opinion, I think he's a complete and utter maniac. I'm literally petrified for the world if he gets in. But you cannot deny 78-year-old man having an attempt on his life twice in as many months is huge. I mean, has there ever been anything like it in in an election? Has there ever been any election like this?
Not like this, no.
Twice there's an attempt.
Can anyone answer this for me, though? Can you riddle me this? It feels, it was, whether we like to believe the exact details of it or not, it was the first was an assassination attempt. The FBI have come out and said that this is a second assassination attempt.
Absolutely.
Is it me, or does it feel like that's been kind of embraced and we've got kind of on board with the normality of it a little bit too quickly? It's actually quite shocking what's going on.
No, I think the thing is, because everything about Trump is so fantastical and unreal, the appalling things he says, the extremes that he is using in this election, and many of his followers as well, the extreme views, extreme racism, extreme sexism, everything. And so everything is kind of like a caricature almost. He's like a caricature of a politician. So I think because it's him, it makes it a bit more unreal. But I was listening to an American news show today, and actually it was Scaramucci on CBS, and he was saying, this is 2 attempts on his life. This will affect him.
Yeah.
And he said that he and other people that know Trump think he is very, very different since in the last year or so. He said, he's repeating himself in the way that he wasn't. He doesn't remember facts right. He's saying the wrong words.
But does anyone here
thinks
think
this will be another big shock?
Well, I don't necessarily agree. I don't think this got anywhere near him. I think what's interesting is Trump and his campaign team have sought to take advantage of it very, very quickly.
It doesn't make any difference. If I tell you now that there's somebody that was going to shoot you, but they were sat opposite your house and the police got them, the guy was going to film it, and it's still huge.
I think it's hugely shocking, absolutely. And so I think Ellen just made the point that if it had been Kamala who had been shot at or potentially shot at, or if a gun was even pulled, I think in some way it might have kind of created big news. But does this not speak to the problem?
This has created big news.
Yeah, but it has created big news. But there is a strange sort of sense that even baked into a little bit of what we're saying is he's a larger-than-life character. He says larger-than-life things. So it's kind of not surprising that this has happened. And I think it's tricky and dangerous because he has posted on Truth Social tonight saying that the rhetoric of the Democrats is what's created this atmosphere.
The hate that he stirs up every single day. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, he hates Taylor Swift. Now, one thing is for sure, this guy is not a Taylor Swift fan.
But he would love her dearly. He would absolutely love her dearly if she'd supported his campaign.
What do you mean?
Well, because it's like Scaramucci.
Oh, no, I was talking about the assassin. The assassin is not. I know a lot of people are saying he said he hated Taylor Swift about a couple of hours before this happened. There is no connection. The chap who took the gun.
I see what you mean. People are saying.
Yeah, who took the AK-47, Ryan Ruth, who's a Ukrainian sympathizer. He's a huge sort of loyalist to Ukraine. He's voted Republican in the past, but he's kind of anti-Donald Trump. I mean, he's clearly a little bit kind of, like many of these people are in America, his kind of political allegiances are kind of exploding all over the place. No one seems to have a fixed sense of who they belong to or what they belong to. But he wasn't a Taylor Swift fan. So I think it's hard. It's a stretch to connect the two, which I think some people are trying to on X.
Yeah, but Mark, look at all the things that are said. I mean, there's madness out there, isn't there?
Carol Naismith says he doesn't get the same protection as Kamala or other past presidents, it was said today. Well, I mean, this is something that needs to be explored and discussed, because I think if there's any shred of possibility that there's truth in that, I think that could become what they call the October surprise. Do you remember in the Hillary Clinton Trump, it was suddenly the FBI had to kind of examine all of her emails, and there was a reason. Suddenly the whole election pivoted with what they call, it's a thing, it's called the October surprise. I've got a funny feeling.
But hang on, can I just say one thing?
That this could be what Trump plays.
His security did work, because they spotted the guy.
But he was there for 12 hours. What was he doing for 12 hours in a bush?
He was nowhere near going to be hit. And the Secret Service shot at him and caught him, and now he's in prison, and he's going to probably stay there the rest of his life. He
was 300 feet away, and the gun had the ability with a scope on it to be able to hit him. He was in the bushes. I think a lot's being made of this. I know it's only landed tonight, but a lot is being made of how was this guy allowed to be in the bushes for 12
nobody saw him.
Hours. I know. Thus, he hasn't maybe had the right security.
But this is a huge piece of land, isn't it? And they're not going to comb every part of it. He pops back and forth the whole time. Or let's just go and play golf. This wasn't a planned golf.
Who here thinks there's something untoward in this?
So imagine he may have been going to Manhattan, and they've scoured all the places to go. And he goes, no, I want to go home and I want to play golf. What are they going to do? Search every single inch of the...
I mean, the other thing about Trump is he does like to go all over the place into certain different places, whereas I think the defense of Kamala and Biden is they're pretty locked, aren't they, into having to be in a certain place, the White House, political buildings and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, the governor or the chief of police of that area said he got exactly the security that an ex-president would get. You do not get the same security as a president, but he had the exact right amount.
Who thinks that this guy, who's already sort of tipping into thinking This is all a big attempt by the deep state. And when I say deep state, I mean the Democrats who want Trump taken out. Who thinks there is some kind of untoward, dark, deep, dark thing going on here where, and what I mean by this is, okay, this guy, Ryan Routh, I'm going to show him now, it's alongside Trump here. He looks like Michael Palin there. He might not be, he's not representing the Democrats, but this is what some people are trying to say, that in allowing someone like him to get close, in people feeling that they can take shots at Trump, who thinks that the system has allowed this to happen?
I would really argue with the allow. You cannot. Trump changed his mind last minute and wanted to go and play golf.
You know, but look, a lot of people here think this. Look, I do, Mark, Claire Prendergast, sorry. Fishy as, says Siobhan Jordan. Me too. The odds are that Trump is going to turn up at the golf course sooner or later. Just have to stake it out. It's not like Trump will arrive without being noticed. Now, who thinks it could be staged the other way? That in fact, you know, he sees this as an opportunity to kind of, you know, raise more money.
Oh no, people are saying create more division. In that he wanted the attention.
No, this is the other one. Yeah, no, the other comments were the opposite way around. But no conspiracy here, says Bryce K. I mean, the reason I don't think there is any conspiracy on either side is when you look at these slightly unfortunate individuals who do it, they, without using, I don't mean to be rude, but they look like whack jobs, if I'm honest.
I mean, he looks deranged, and he has been arrested before. He's been, you know, he's very active on social media with his anger. He's somebody that has got problems, you know, like 9 times out of 10 when these things happen. It's rare that it's like a totally sane person.
No, absolutely. And that's my point. I think it's very easy after the event to think that all these kind of slightly unhinged, slightly whacked out individuals who've got their own kind of grievances and agendas, you could attach it to either kind of conspiracy theory on either side of the equation. Here's the footage of him actually being arrested.
Keep walking! Keep that long.
Now, the FBI said when they pulled him over, they didn't think they got the right person because he was so extraordinarily calm. They knew they had the right vehicle, but they didn't think they had the right person at all. Now, also left behind where he was about to shoot Trump were these, his carryalls and a GoPro. You see the GoPro stuck in the fence? I mean, it's incredibly rudimentary, isn't it?
I wonder if he had food and stuff in there. I wonder if he was planning to possibly be there for days.
Well, I suppose if he's been there for 12 hours, here's another image of him. Again, he's been to Ukraine, he's traveled to Ukraine, he's a huge supporter of the Ukrainian push against, self-defense and all that kind of stuff, which of course is at odds with what Trump potentially is going to do. Trump isn't a huge supporter of wanting to just fund Ukraine endlessly. So there he is. I mean, this is the man that they've arrested. That's where he was arrested at. This is him here.
Had he made one of those videos before he...
they're going through it all now, yeah.
You know, I wonder if he was one of those that was prepared to die and had left a video explaining.
Okay.
Why done what it done?
Moving on,
well,
Huw Edwards.
For sure, we ain't heard the end of it. There'll be reams and reams on this.
Well, and also Trump has gone absolutely nuts on his social media channel. Natasha, what have you got to say here? Hi, Natasha. I'm not convinced that it's an organised attempt to take him out, that it would fail for a second time. It feels more likely that these easily influenced individuals are pawns in Trump's game.
Natasha. He knows he aggravates this kind of hate. He loves to aggravate. He's a bully.
Yeah. Okay, Huw Edwards was sentenced today. Here's the footage of him leaving court. He got a... Well, Huw Edwards, for anyone who doesn't know, was one of our leading, if not highest, most significant, highest profile news readers. Now, this pivots around his, receiving and, in legal terms, creating images of child pornography. He got a 6 month suspended sentence today. What do you think about that as a sentence? Well, do you feel it's appropriate?
The guy that gave him the photographs got a 12 months suspended. So he was never going to get 12 months.
Right.
So I was listening to a barrister today, and he was saying it's actually to the letter of the law what he's got. This is what you get. The judge said that he had taken into the fact that he had serious mental health issues with risk of suicide, that he had pled guilty right from the beginning, which immediately gave him a third of his sentence taken off. And that he believed, the judge, that children weren't in danger. That was the one that kind of confused me, because I think as the public, who are invested in this man and what we believed him to be, have been so monumentally hoodwinked, I think we should know why the judge thinks that he's not going to be harmful to children anymore. Now, we've only seen this on the Sun report, haven't we, on YouTube? But
for those of you who don't know who he is, these are the images. The
guy from the Sun who came out after who'd heard what had been said, he said it was so vile that he felt almost sick, because there was a child of only, I think, 7 and 10. We don't know the details of that, neither do we need to. But, apparently he said that he had no memory of seeing these images due to his mental health. Could that be so? So I just think, having interviewed people in the past, when I used to do the Kilroy show, of adults that had pornography, photographs have been taken of them as children, haunts them for the rest of their life. The abuse continues on and on and on. The thought of people looking at those photos, it's just never ending. So I don't know. The thing is, you put somebody, also one of the other reasons that he didn't give him a custodial sentence was because of what could happen to him in prison. Now, the thing is, I don't think putting people in prison with huge mental health issues does anyone any good. And for me, the better thing is that he has to attend a 40 sessions, counselling sessions, around this particular topic, sexual abuse. Now, what I didn't like was that the defence apparently argued against that. That I didn't really like.
His defence?
Yeah.
Saying what?
Well, that's all I know. They argued against him doing the 40 episode course. Not episode.
I tell you what strikes me as really weird and difficult about this, and someone spoke to this somewhere else earlier today on one of the many reports that we've been listening to. There were lots of signs with this guy, Huw Edwards, that he wasn't quite the full ticket in certain areas of his life. He'd started to behave oddly. He'd started to post really odd stuff, which in and of itself, I remember about 4 years ago, standing in the lounge over there and saying, my God, have you seen this photograph of Huw Edwards standing on, leaning on a motorbike with leathers and his crotch sort of like that? He was,
the towel around his neck.
Those
these really suggestive photographs. We were like, that's Huw Edwards. But apparently he, in the court, they talked a lot about his failings in terms of the universities he went to. In that he'd had a difficult childhood, in that he'd had to suppress the fact that he was homosexual. And that's what we were kind of thinking when we were seeing all these photos, weren't we, 3 or 4 years ago? It's like,
but then, then attach that behaviour to this. And this is where I think the BBC starts to get into really, really sticky territory yet again. I just would love to know what was known and who knew what and who knew how much and who maybe, because there were also other reports of him acting inappropriately or making inappropriate suggestions to other members of staff also at the BBC too. And I think, once again, the BBC has a real problem. It has a real managerial problem here in dealing with these stories, whether it be something as potentially benign as Strictly, that we don't know. Then there was the Jermaine Genus. Then there's this. It does feel, and I think Zoe makes a really good point, 5 years for Just Stop Oil, 6 months suspended sentence for having Class A or Category A,
they can't get any
7
worse.
images that you can't get any worse.
But apparently there was something also that the judge took into account, that he hadn't downloaded these images.
Well, I do remember saying at the time when he was being charged, I said, I think I asked you guys on a live that we did, I said, would there be anything that kind of moderated your judgment of him? If, say, he was sent stuff, but he didn't go searching for it. Then you creep into the questions of, did he hold it? Did he look at it?
Well,
and all
from
that
what
kind
the
of stuff.
Sun guy was saying today, that wasn't the case.
Mm.
You know, he had said. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's ever anything satisfactory with these cases, is there?
Mm.
I mean...
Chris Bibby, a mum shoplifting food for her family gets a higher sentence. Our system is broken.
Absolutely.
It really is. I mean, Starmer said today that he was shocked, staggered and surprised by the sentencing himself. So,
especially when it's somebody, and I'm sorry, but when you are in the public eye like that, you kind of do have the book thrown at you more, because
I think so.
You've got to be an example to people.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because one report I was listening to said that he was taken straight there back to the mental care facility he's been in since this all came out. So maybe there is something in that report that none of us know, that it says that he is in dire straits.
Okay, Reese makes a good point. 2-tier prison system in Britain, rather than just policing. Yeah, the policing idea. Yeah.
I mean, the young guy who provided the photographs is also on a suspended sentence. I mean, this solicitor did say this is the sentence.
So
whether
that
we
basically,
like it
so
or
to
not,
be clear,
this is by the book.
So suspended basically means they won't go to prison so long as in that period of time they don't commit another offence.
So for 2 years, if he commits another offence, he will immediately go to prison for 6 months.
Right, gotcha.
That's the pending. That's waiting for you to see how you behave.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember years ago with Gary Glitter when he got that tiny sentence for those horrific photographs. The sentences have never been big.
No.
And they need to be, I think, because you are a part of it. If you're buying them and looking them, you are a part of it. Okay, you're not the most evil in the world, because you didn't actually kidnap the child and, do whatever you did and film it. But to be a part of that, I mean, I think there's just got to be zero tolerance.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it gives out all the wrong messaging.
And as if the BBC hasn't got enough shit going on, then there's, of course, the continuing story of Jay Blades, which we talked about at the weekend. This is. I think, Reese, you summed this up the other day. This is just so disappointing, isn't it? This whole...
The nation fell in love. There's a bit of a nation sweetheart, fantastic presenter, of
brilliant
the repair
show.
shop, a man with a skill, a furniture maker, a man that had struggled with reading, and everybody was in the kindest, sweetest, kind face. I will say, like I always say, I don't think anybody is just one thing. I think he can be all those things. And also, if he is found guilty, he could also be somebody that is unable to control his anger and does appalling things with that anger. We don't know.
I mean, a really good point. That one of the things we were discussing over the weekend was whether the BBC should have any of the shows that he fronted on television, on iPlayer, because they've stopped all of the projects that were about to be broadcast. There's certain ones that were in production. They've put them on pause. They've stopped them. And someone made a very valid point, which is always something that is quite heartbreaking when someone who's usually the star of a vehicle does something wrong, brings a program or a film into disrepute. And then, of course, everyone who's worked on it. There's all those other experts and craftsmen and women and all of the, members of the public. So it's not just about punishing him.
That have had those beautiful moments when these really important, artifacts have been restored. I mean, we've all cried over it, haven't we? And it just taints it all.
Catherine McLaughlin says his wife did say that the public got the best side of him. I mean, again, we know, I think he's in court on October the 11th for us to know exactly the nature of the accusations. He's been removed, or he's stepped down from, he's quit the King's charity. What was it? What's the name of the charity? The King's Foundation. So he used to support the King's Foundation. I think he was on the show, wasn't he, with the King Charles. He's had to step down from that, or he's felt he's had to step down from that. It's part of me sort of wonders whether all of this kind of almost sorting out the admin of his kind of responsibilities and duties is speaking to the extent to which we possibly know it's going to be more serious than anyone would like to think. Zoe, we are always shocked about a man doing things like that just because he's a public figure. I ask myself the same question. Yeah.
Well, I think he's a public figure that we know. So it's like It's like
Good
if you've
point,
got a
Wine.
neighbour that's always terribly nice and kind and helps you with your shopping and might tell you a funny story, might even help you out with something, then you find out that he's doing whatever he's doing. You know, I think it's like that because we buy into people.
Yeah, but it goes back to this thing that you've said, which is role models. And you remember back in the day when footballers were on the front pages of newspapers all the time, and it was always being said, these guys are role models. You need to be a role model. It's important that you show, you set precedent for youngsters and what have you. I do think, being famous or taking, on these jobs and being responsible in these posts has huge responsibility. And it's like with all things, as soon as power creeps in or any bit of strength creeps in, it's like the edges. Now, this doesn't necessarily speak to that because this is, as his wife has indicated, are we dealing with a Jekyll and Hyde situation here where you've got very much one thing, as you say, it's more than one thing. You've got the pleasant, the avuncular, the warm on telly, but then off screen, there were all sorts of other issues. I mean, that's what it looks like. Oh, right. Well, shall we save this other one for in the week? We're going to talk about hobbies that you like in a man and don't like in a man.
Turn you on or turn you off. Very nice.
But I just want to show you, I just want to share with you, this is an image, and finally, this is just quite astonishing. I saw this online today and I screenshot them and I just wanted to show them. This is I think he's an Indian photographer, I've lost his name, who takes photographs of the sun and the sun, as in the sun in the sky, and creates narratives out of them.
Oh my God, that's
So here's
beautiful.
So he's walking along, then he picks up the sun. And look, if you see, they're done on the same spot. So he's waiting for the sun to move to get the next movement in the story.
So beautiful.
Moving on to this one. Look at this. Takes it out of a box, places it in a lantern. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh my God.
And this one, take the sun. Well, I'll take the sun and I'll head off. Isn't that beautiful? These are like silhouettes.
Magical.
And we've got another one here. Look, so he walks over, sees him, has the sun behind him, takes it and gives it to him.
Oh,
I just love these. And then we've got this one, look, running after them, carrying it on a bike. He gives it to him. Look at that.
The one that's standing on the back. Oh, that's gorgeous, babe.
So
Where
clever.
did you find that?
And there he is there. Look, I love this. This is a silhouetted portrait of him. And he's got the moon in the lantern. It's
we
real.
Must find out his name.
And Cambo says it's real. It's not AI. I love that fact. If you want to find out who he is, go to Puberty, the Instagram account, and you'll see him on there. It's
beautiful.
Something pops up and you think, oh, you guys all like that. Anyway, there we go, guys.
So my mum, your dad will be on Instagram in some of the breaks, not all of the breaks, maybe from the second break, and then we'll be doing a live catch up afterwards at 10.
Yes, tonight. Guys, thank you for all your comments, and we will see you tomorrow for Coffee Moaning.